आई हैड नो क्लू. उस टाइम ऐसे नहीं था कि ट्रेडिंग करने के लिए मैं छोड़ रहा हूँ जॉब. मैं ट्विटर पे देख रहा था पोस्ट सब कुछ. मुझे ट्रेडिंग के बारे में थोड़ा पता लगा. इट ऑलमोस्ट स्टार्टेड लाइक अ गैम्बलिंग और एक्साइटिंग काइंड ऑफ थिंग. I think within a month I scaled up to like 60 lakhs of my own account. In 3 months it grew almost to 1 crore.
Wow.
So I took like a vacation, generally became a lot more lax with my trades, and in a month I lost almost all of the profits.
What is the strategy there? Because there you can't make money without strategy.
Yeah. I have a bunch of close friends who initially wanted to learn trading from me. After a few months, when my friends started becoming better at technical, they also started questioning me. Right?
A new learning for me also. I will start using it for my setup.
One place where I differ from Minervini a bit is...
Let's talk about your bumper trade, gold trade. Don't try this at home. हेलो, वेलकम टू येट अनदर फेस टू फेस के एक और वीडियो में आपका स्वागत. आज हम लोग बात करेंगे ट्रेडिंग के बारे में और आज बहुत एक्साइटिंग वीडियो होने वाला है. बाय द वे, दिस इज फेस टू फेस नंबर 301. ये 301वां फेस टू फेस है एंड आई एम कंसिडरिंग दिस टू बी अ न्यू जर्नी. यहाँ से और रिकॉर्ड करेंगे और सीखेंगे, मज़ा आएगा. और आप पहली बार जुड़े हैं तो परमानेंटली जुड़िए, कुछ अच्छा ही हो रहा है तो कोई फ़ायदा ही होने वाला आपको. कुछ दिन पहले मैंने एक वीडियो रिकॉर्ड किया था मेरे यूट्यूब चैनल में, जहाँ पर मैंने कहा था कि वाई आईटी प्रोफेशनल्स जो आईटी बैकग्राउंड के हैं, दे आर वेरी मच सूटेड टू डू ट्रेडिंग. रीज़न दिया था मैंने कि क्यों एक आईटी प्रोफेशनल को ट्रेडिंग सीखनी चाहिए. जब जॉब में लगे हैं, काम कर रहे हैं, तब तो शायद रिक्वायरमेंट नहीं है, लेकिन अगर कोई ना कोई रीज़न से ये ना हो पाया, जॉब ना रह पाई, तो ट्रेडिंग कुड बी अ गुड ऑल्टरनेट ऑक्यूपेशन. ये मैंने बात बोल तो दी और कुछ लोगों ने मान भी लिया, बट इस बात में छिपी हुई बातें भी है. तो मुझे लगा कि क्यों ना उन्हें बुलाया जाए जो आईटी प्रोफेशनल है, जो सक्सेसफुल थे अपने बिजनेस में एज एन आईटी प्रोफेशनल, अपने ऑक्यूपेशन में एज एन आईटी प्रोफेशनल, जिन्होंने छोड़ा, ट्रेडिंग ट्राई किया, फेल किए, फिर ट्राई किया, फेल किए, बट फाइनली सक्सेसफुल है. तो टुडे व्हाट वी आर गोइंग टू लर्न फ्रॉम दिस जेंटलमैन इज गोइंग टू बी लाइक अ नेक्स्ट बॉय स्टोरी हु हैज़ बिल्ड सॉलिड earning machinery as a trader. So let's welcome for this face-to-face Ashwin. Welcome.
Thank you, sir. It's an honor to be here. मैंने भी जब ट्रेडिंग स्टार्ट किया, I used to see your videos. Like a lot of the setups I now trade came from watching some of your videos. So it's an honor to be here.
Amazing, amazing. मेरे लिए इससे अच्छी बात नहीं हो सकती है कि someone who has seen the videos and built something, and now I am getting an honor to record video with you. In fact, I would like to recommend people who are watching this video और आपने कुछ कर बिताया है मेरी वीडियो देख देख के, तो प्लीज़ मुझसे कनेक्ट कीजिए vivek@stockedge.com and I will love to interview you because you are real hero for me. Thank you, Ashwin. You are the real hero for me.
Same here.
So Ashwin, the structure you know,
Yeah.
you have been seeing the videos. पहले आपके बारे में, आपकी जर्नी, because for me this is the most important part. इंस्पिरेशन जॉब से मिलती है, स्ट्रैटेजी वगैरह तो कई लोगों को स्ट्रैटेजी चाहिए होती है, तो उसके लिए भी अपने काम पूरा करेंगे. यू हैव मेड अ ऑसम प्रेजेंटेशन, तो वो भी हम देखेंगे, बट गिव मी इंस्पिरेशंस अबाउट योर जर्नी.
तो मैंने अंडरग्रेड बिट्स हैदराबाद में किया था. आई स्टडीड कंप्यूटर साइंस एंड फिजिक्स.
विच ईयर?
2011 to 16.
अच्छा, ओके.
And in my final year of college, I interned for 6 months at Flipkart. And I was supposed to join Flipkart after college, but उस time कुछ rough funding patch के through जा रहा था Flipkart. So one of the options I was given was intern at a company in which we have invested. That is how I ended up at PhonePe, which was back then just 30 employees और app भी launch नहीं हुआ था.
अच्छा.
तो like while I was an intern there, वहाँ पे app launch हुआ, and I eventually ended up spending 6 years there. 3 years as a backend engineer and then 3 years as a product manager. After that, I took a break for some time. This whole 6-year startup journey for me like was a lot of I mean, I guess now I can say कि I'm the kind of person who pushes myself a lot, but उस time पे बस confusing था, burnout हुआ. So I took a break and I sat home for almost 10 months. I had no clue. उस time ऐसे नहीं था कि trading करने के लिए मैं छोड़ रहा हूँ job. बस I took a break And somewhere towards the end of that break, मैं ट्विटर पे देख रहा था पोस्ट और सब कुछ, तो तब मुझे ट्रेडिंग के बारे में थोड़ा पता लगा. और बस बहुत ही बेसिक आइडिया था कि लाइक कॉल ऑप्शन लेते हैं जब कुछ ऊपर जा रहा है और पुट ऑप्शन जब कुछ नीचे जा रहा है. सो आई हैड सम सेविंग्स फ्रॉम 6 years, तो इट ऑलमोस्ट स्टार्टेड लाइक अ गैम्बलिंग और एक्साइटिंग काइंड ऑफ थिंग, राइट? कि तुम कोई ट्रेड ले रहे हो और वो डबल हो रहा है, किसी दिन वो जा रहा है. तो आई रियली गॉट हुक टू दैट, एंड बिफोर लॉन्ग, आई मीन, आई हैड पुट अ बल्क ऑफ माई सेविंग्स इन टू ट्रेडिंग. लाइक I think within a month I scaled up to like 60 lakhs of my own account, and in 3 months it grew almost to 1 CR.
Wow.
Right? So I mean, beginners luck ही होगा, अब तो मुझे पता है वो beginners luck ही था. And I just decided कि अगर 3 months में इतना कर सकता हूँ तो like imagine over the coming years how much more I can make. So I took like a vacation and generally became a lot more lax with my trades. And in a month I lost almost all of the profits. And over the course of the next year, my account was down to almost like 17 lakhs from the 1 CR high.
Oh my God.
So एट दैट पॉइंट मुझे ऐसे लगा कि 1 साल में काफ़ी कुछ सीखा तो है, बट अब कैपिटल ही इतना कम है कि अगर मुझे एक मिनिमम अमाउंट कमाना है मार्केट से, तो आई एम हैविंग टू बी अ लॉट मोर एग्रेसिव, क्योंकि परसेंटेज रिटर्न में अगर मुझे 1 लाख भी कमाना है 17 लाख पे, तो इट वॉज बिकमिंग वेरी स्ट्रेसफुल मंथ टू मंथ. So I was just wishing कि if I had more capital infusion right now, then I'll be able to be a great trader, right? And coincidentally, around that time, PhonePe, my stock options from 6 years, they liquidated. So I got exactly what I wanted, and the stars seemed to be aligning. So I again reinfused my account with capital. So I was now again trading with a account of somewhere around 70 to 80 lakhs.
Okay.
And I was stuck in a range for almost like 5 or 6 months. And on the day of Indian election results, I was 5x leveraged long. And like over the course of 2 days, the account again almost came down to 17 lakhs or something.
Oh my God.
I kind of froze in front of the screen. I could see in front of my eyes my account going down, but like in 2 days, both days I got out at the worst possible moment, and immediately after I got out, the market went the other way. So I mean, that was now like, it took me a moment to process the whole thing. मैं खुद को बस ये बोल रहा था जब स्क्रीन दिख रहा था कि don't ignore this feeling that you're feeling right now. Like this has happened twice. Like a year, I mean, just 6 months back I had told myself I'll never repeat this, but in 6 months, I had blown through an amount of money, which is like a large amount of money for everyone, right? And it is not that, I mean, I had the privilege कि मेरे parents मेरे ऊपर financially dependent नहीं थे, but otherwise, I mean, I had to consider my life up till that point कि अभी मैंने 2.5 साल से job तो छोड़ दिया, और what do I have to show for it? Like twice I like blew through all my savings, and I hadn't actually told this whole up and down journey to anyone at that point. Just that I didn't want the additional stress. Like खुद तो मैं stress ले ही रहा हूँ, अगर 2 लोग से और बात करो तो they would all be like quit trading.
सही बात है. And what was your age that time?
I was 30.
Okay.
I was 30 at that time.
That's a crucial age,
yeah.
Because that's the time when you want your optimism towards life to be very, very high.
So that was the thing, like when I'm facing my screen at the end of that day, when I've lost all this money, I just told myself that like experience this moment properly, so that the next time if it ever comes to this, you haven't ignored the emotion, you have properly felt what it feels like to freeze at the wrong moment. And even on the day that I lost money, there was a point in that day when I could have got out at no profit, no loss, right? But I was just fighting the market, and like it became a whole ego thing. And here was actual proof that like I have lost most of my life savings from like a moment of stupidity, right? So I went through that, and Again, the feeling was the same ki the strategy isn't the problem. Like over 2 years, whatever, I have a good experience, almost 2000 hours looking at charts and setups I could identify. It is just that sometimes I'm not pulling the trigger at the right moment, right? So the challenge then was, okay, if you're saying your setup is good, then kya kar sakte ho to become a better trader? Like, your psychology is the problem, right? So how do you eliminate psychology in a sense, or like how do you use psychology as an advantage to do this? So the way I tackled that was like, how do you eliminate your psychology, right? Systematize the whole process, process over emotions, right? So I had like a bunch of things that I went through in that phase, and I mean we can explore those in more detail. But the important thing is, like, at one point that 17 lakh account also came all the way down to 7.5 lakhs. This is after I gave myself this pep talk कि अब से मैं serious हो रहा हूँ, all of that. But उसके बाद भी 7.5 lakh तक आया. But the thing is, since then that account is now worth almost 100 times, and this was like a year back. So
wow.
Yeah, I mean, I am very excited to share how the whole recovery and like the journey from there happened.
वो एक मूवी आई थी ना आमिर खान की, जो जीता वही सिकंदर. So finally, what you have achieved makes you a Sikandar, right? And coming out of the tough time, I mean, the kind of, I think, सबसे बड़ी बात क्या होती है ना, जो एक प्रोफाइल से निकलते हैं ना, उनके ऊपर एक बैगेज भी होता है, एक अपॉर्चुनिटी कॉस्ट बैगेज, जो कि सोसाइटी भी आपके ऊपर काफ़ी डालता है ना कि क्या कर रहे हो 30 साल की उम्र में, ईसॉप था, सब कुछ था, लाइफ सेट था, और आप डाउन हो. वहाँ से जब आप इमर्ज करते हो, that itself is a character of a successful trader, because that's a trader is supposed to do, right? चलिए, तो आपका presentation है, तो we'll go through the presentation bits by bits, and I will keep on asking you questions in the middle. Huh? Yeah. Wow, I love that. Just spend some time there, trading for a living, ups, downs, and the journey in between. Beautiful, beautiful.
जैसे मैं charts देखता हूँ to take trades, I think looking at my own portfolio curve is a good representation of my ups and downs.
Yes, yes.
So this is the part where I'm just adding to my account, right, in the initial few months itself. And this was the peak where it reached 1 CR. And since then it was just like drawdowns, like each of these drawdowns tell a story of like a particular day. Like maybe I was in a bad mood someday, I took an impulsive trade. This might have been a recovery trade, which again went bad. So it went this way for a while, and this is when the PhonePe stock option money came and I refunded my account. Again, stuck in a certain kind of range for a while, and this is the election.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And I am exactly back where I was like before the PhonePe stock option money came.
It's crazy.
So this is the point. And then over a month, I took a series of option trades. This part, I mean, I can actually talk a bit about it. So, क्या हो रहा था, like first 2 years में, this was post COVID market. तो मैं mostly long setups ही trade कर रहा था. So the challenge when I had lost all this money was, I was starting to get a feeling कि बहुत अब 3 साल से अगर bull market चल रहा है, some point this will pause. My account is already at its lowest point. तो जब bull market खत्म होगा, I have no experience trading a sideways or a falling market. What will I do? Right? So finally reasoned कि किसी दिन शायद एक बड़ा करेक्शन आएगा मार्केट में. उस दिन I am willing to take whatever money I have and like put a major portion of those on puts. Okay? And it had come to that point कि like अगर तुम 10 लाख के अकाउंट से ट्रेड कर रहे हो, like you make 1 lakh a month, a 10% return in a month, that is insane. And you have to repeat that like month on month to maintain whatever lifestyle you have been living till that point, right? So it was getting so stressful. I just made this decision. I have spent 2.5 years in the market. Like when that day comes when the market is falling, I will go all in. I won't do the struggle for many months and all. If I make money, then that's good. Like it will give me a cushion to ride a bear market or a sideways market.
Right.
If not, I will just go back home. I'll start applying for jobs again, and maybe someday I'll come back to the market. So that was the thing that happened here. So over 3 days, literally, my account went from like 11 lakhs to 2.5 crore.
Because you were short in market.
Yeah. So like when I was telling you कि मैंने decide किया कि मुझे systematize करना है process. One of the things I started to do was there's this trader called Pradeep Bonde.
Oh yeah, of course.
StockB.
Yeah.
So StockB has this market direct thing that he does for the US market. So I also started to like track those metrics for the Indian market, right? So the thing is like when I started tracking these metrics, ऐसे मुझे कुछ baseline नहीं है कि what is the benchmark, what is bad or what is good. I just decided कि I'll start tracking these metrics. इससे एक sense आएगा market का. So the things I'm recording are things like say stocks above 1,000 crore market cap.
Correct.
How many are advancing? How many are declining?
Right.
How many are above 20-day moving average,
Right.
40-day moving average? All of these things I started tracking, and also every weekend I am going through. So one of the things that was happening in the drawdown is मैं ऐसे रात में 3 बजे randomly cold sweat में उठ रहा हूँ and just like anxious like about where I am in life right now. And at that point, the one thing that helped me was like I was very logical about the whole thing. Matlab, yes, you are right to be nervous. There's no way to wash away this feeling. But like, what is it that you can do in this moment, right?
Right.
So my whole thing is reading charts. तो मैं क्या करता था, मैं बस आके desk पे बैठ के top 1,000 stocks by market cap. I would start from the top, and I'll just go through charts one after the other till I again feel sleepy.
Wow.
So जैसे gym में लोग reps करते हैं, that is how I decided to see this. Ki like for me, looking at charts, just imprinting a chart into muscle memory, that is my rep, right? So every night, like whenever I'm anxious or any time in the day, if I'm anxious, I would just ask myself, what can I do in this moment to become a better trader? That is like expose myself to more charts.
What a beautiful thought. Looking at chart is like building your mental memory, mental muscles to comprehend what is going to happen next. Beautiful.
So the thing is like in a moment, like if you see a chart, my whole thing was 5 seconds के अंदर पता होना चाहिए what to do, right? So that when I don't freeze again whenever I'm in that kind of crunch situation. And I realized this about myself कि I can't do like simple strategies which make a low return, right? Like I need a certain kind of like return to stay excited and to feel like in a sense I'm doing better than what I was doing earlier. Like the job trajectory would have taken me on a certain path, but if I am doing something on my own, I want it to be like among the best in the world. Back when the account was at its lowest, that didn't feel that way, but I was just telling myself कि जब भी आप कोई मूवी देखते हो, novels देखते हो, there's a certain kind of arc, which is a hero's arc. Okay. So in that, the hero goes through a certain set of challenges and he is at its bottom. And then he again does a whole bunch of things and he's back at the top, right? So whenever I was feeling anxious or like feeling like self-loathing or self-pity or all of this, I was just asking myself, if you were the hero of your own story, what would you be doing right now?
Wow.
So the hero wouldn't be feeling sorry for himself. He would be doing whatever is required to be done, which is looking at charts, which is being in top shape. The other parallel I would take is like, agar tumhe best banna hai world mein, like compare yourself to an Olympic athlete, right? So the training should be that way. Like physically you should be at your best so that mentally you are sharp. So every day I started to like cut down a lot of other distractions in my life. And it was like when I look back, it was actually a very beautiful period of my life where for a couple of months I am in the zone. जैसे movie में दिखाते वो recovery phase, montage shots जिसमें बस person बस workout कर रहा है, charts देख रहा है. That was my life for a few months. And leading up to these 3 days, right, where the whole recovery happened. Before that, in a month, from the lowest 7.6 lakhs, my account had reached 11 lakhs. So that was like a 45% return over a month. And at that time, I was mostly trading cash stocks and futures and stocks. So that gave me a lot of confidence. Parallelly, I'm also starting to track all these metrics around market breadth. And I had started to notice कि मैं जो भी weekend पे ये scans कर रहा हूँ to get my watch list. So I'm going through thousands of charts and I'm making a watch list of say 50 to 100 stocks. That number is reducing like week on week. So that was the first sign कि कुछ weakness आ रहा है market में. Along with that, the Israel-Iran conflict was escalating. I started to see some kind of weakness. I had a day when I am long in a whole bunch of stocks and all my stop losses hit. So this was a Thursday, Nifty expiry ke day. And immediately the thing triggered in my mind ki maybe this is the day you said you'll bet your account on the put. So I bought like of the 11 lakh account, like more than half of it, I bet on same day expiring puts.
Okay.
And those were very out of the money. Because if I'm right, I really wanted to be right. And the other part of the account, I again shorted Nifty futures.
Okay.
So that if I was completely wrong on the trade, I'm not at zero.
Okay.
जो 4 या 5 लाख है वो कम होगा, but I will have some money left in the account.
Okay.
So by the end of that day, the account went from 11 to 22 lakhs. I took some money out, like a few more months of rent ka buffer, all of that. So the next day, I'm trading with an account of 16 lakhs and I just checked aaj kaun sa expiry hai. So that was Friday Sensex. Because on the same day expiring is the chance that if you're right, you'll make the most amount of money, right? And entering into that day, the Israel-Iran conflict was at a very tricky stage. So I was just trying to this was not charts, I was just thinking, the whole world is worried about how the thing will escalate, right? कल तो market गिरा ही है. Is there any reason the market should recover on a Friday when things are so at a tricky stage? So all traders, I assumed, would ideally want to play safe, so they would sell, right? तो उससे market और गिरना चाहिए. That was my view coming into the market. And I think within the first half hour of the market or something, of the 16 lakhs, I think almost 11 lakhs I had bought on Sensex puts.
Oh.
And remaining, I again shorted Nifty. And by 12 or 12:30, like I was staring at like minus 11 lakh, okay? And I'm thinking ki basically I'm back in life where I was a day before. But again, I tried to tell myself ki the logic you came into the day with, that still holds. Like it makes no sense that the market should go up. So I just continued to wait for a bit. And exactly at 12:30, 3 candles आए जिससे first like जो भी दिन का ऊपर गया था, that first came down to the break-even point. Then it just kept going down through the day. So by the end of that day, the account went from 16 to 35 lakhs. And it's a Friday, so I'm just like processing the whole thing. Ki, just like a few days back, you were worried about rent. Now, at least for a year, you probably wouldn't have to worry about rent. So, I again took some money out. But I told myself, koi 3 दिन in a row lucky nahi hota. So, please don't do this again. Monday pe mat karo. So, I was now 35, say I think around 10 lakhs I took out. And I'm trading with a 25 lakh account now. I just checked ki Monday ko kaun sa expiry hai. Like just in case if I'm tempted. That was mid-cap Nifty, an index I had never traded before, never even considered trading. And but again, in the first 5 minutes, I saw something on the chart ki weakness dikh raha. 25 में से 16 lakhs I again bet on puts in mid-cap Nifty, and the rest I shorted Nifty. And by the end of that day, the account had reached like some, I think 1.8 CR. So then I decided, I remember मैं तब घर पे था थाने में, मम्मी के पास जा रहा हूँ और मम्मी पापा को कुछ आइडिया नहीं था कि like I had lost so much money and I'm recovering. But I thought today is the day I tell them कि like मम्मी के पास गया और लाइक 2 बार रिपीट करना पड़ा, वो कुछ काम में बिजी थी. फिर द थर्ड टाइम व्हेन आई फाइनली टोल्ड हर फर्स्ट रिएक्शन वाज लाइक अच्छो अब से छोड़ दे ट्रेडिंग. Although they didn't know anything about my journey, they had seen me through the journey. I guess they could see the stress and all of that, but that was her advice कि trading छोड़ दो. But मैंने options trading छोड़ दिया उसके बाद.
Okay.
So because like I still believe that like whatever I did that a lot of factors had to come in, and I was ready to lose my accounts over those 3 days, right? Like it had come to a point where I either wanted to make a living out of this or go back to a job. So, and like a whole bunch of other factors all aligned, I would never advise anyone to take trades like that. It is irresponsible, I agree. But yeah, since then I have mostly now moved to futures. And also like I just look at charts as such, so I'm not partial to stocks or whatever. But around last year when the market started to flatline and I saw some weakness, बस ऐसे एक idea था कि like gold generally does well when there's general unrest, right? So I looked at the gold chart, saw something. So since then I am now trading mostly commodities.
Amazing. So much we can learn from your journey. I mean, in poker we call it all in.
Yeah.
Because you had such a low capital, you thought let's go all in and see where it goes. Yeah. And I mean, obviously God has been very kind that you got those 2-3 days back to back where your assessment was also right and market also gave you opportunity. Yeah. But definitely don't try this at home. Don't try this at home. It has worked for him because he must have garnered a lot of karma points in this life or previous life. Otherwise, this is not a strategy.
Yeah.
It's a gut feeling which has helped you to sustain this. But what I'm interested to know is, after that, when you have started a commodities journey or equity futures also, what is the strategy there? Because there you can't make money without strategy. If you go random, it will take a lot of money from you. Yeah.
So, okay. So, I mean, just to show where we are, like since that point when I recovered my whole account, even then, since then the account has almost tripled. So, to me, the whole point was proving to myself that this wasn't a one-shot thing. Luck nahi tha. It is about genuine thing. So this whole growth since then has been purely through futures trading on commodities.
Beautiful,
right?
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, just a disclaimer, because we are SEBI regulated entity, we have to give disclaimer that the return which has been shown here is his own performance. There is no intention of selling anything to you, showing this return. Anyways, he has not paid me any money for this. Neither I paid him money to do this. It's a pure pro bono education initiative from both of us, okay?
Yeah. I agree with everything Vivek said. Like for me, teaching is one of my big passions, and I mean, that is why I am here.
Yeah,
and I hope you take the right message from this video. So, I mean, these are just vanity metrics. Like right now, Sensibull Hall of Fame, I mean, almost continuously since the last 365 days, I've been at the top.
Superb.
Yeah.
And this is largely because of commodities trade.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
I think we covered some of this, but that's the thing. Like when Twitter पे भी मैं जब अपने trade share करता हूँ, verified P&L, a lot of people reach out to me and they have the same question कि like मैं भी drawdown में हूँ, what do I do? So one of the things that I was also facing as a challenge for the longest time was जब account 10 लाख पे है and I am having a month where I say turn it to 12 lakhs, 20% return in a month, you should be very happy. But मैं हमेशा सोच रहा हूँ कि like मैं 90 लाख drawdown में था और अभी भी 88 है, so this hardly makes a dent.
Yeah.
Continue to be more aggressive and all of that. And in that, उस चक्कर में like I'm back to 7 lakhs or 8 lakhs, right?
Yeah.
So one thing I decided is कि जो भी पैसा मैंने खोया है, that wasn't mine, or that is just like no longer mine. I am right now at this base where I am a trader starting with 10 lakhs.
Okay.
And all I can do is compare myself to the previous day and a week before. राइट. तो मैं एक एक्सेल शीट पे बस वो ट्रैक करने लगा कि एंड ऑफ डे M2M क्या है, डेट एंड ऑफ डे M2M compared to previous day and a week before.
Okay.
And I just started looking at that number day on day. So the thing that helped me was it unanchored me from the drawdown number. And now I am anchored to where I am right now.
Okay.
So that is one thing I tell people कि drawdown तो ठीक है, but like if you have to actually get better, just ask yourself this question again. Have I learned something? Like you may make money or you may lose money from one day to another, but like ask yourself what have you learned from that day, right? So this is Albert Camus' thing. So Sisyphus is a mythological character who is cursed to roll up a boulder up the mountain, and every time it reaches the mountain it comes back down. So Camus tries to think about this person and he says, struggle towards a height itself is enough to fill a man's heart. One must imagine Sisyphus happy. So day on day, the journey should make you happy. For me, like even after I had lost most of my money, every day I would wake up being so thankful that this is what I do for a living. Like I hadn't felt this way even in my job before, but here I was like, अगर किसी को एक scientific process apply करना है, so the market gives you as close a experimental playground as possible, right? आप कोई idea के साथ आते हो, you do that, you exercise that idea in the market and you get an immediate feedback from it. You take the learnings, whatever is right, you double down on that, whatever is wrong, you eliminate. So for me, that whole process of like just trying, failing and getting better, that itself was making me happy. So I always tell people कि trading को मैं तो game जैसे देखता हूँ, in which like money is just like a scorecard, right? But like the whole thing is about getting better at the game.
Absolutely. I mean, typically if you see any game, finally you want to win the game or you need to score certain, but the whole journey of playing that game, excitement, that is the fun part, right? Which is the process.
So coming to this, my style of trading, it's mostly technical analysis.
Okay.
Just chart reading. The reason I ended up doing technical analysis, I guess part of the reason is I came from an engineering background with no experience in finance. I did try doing fundamentals, but like CFA के लिए प्रिपेयर करने सोच रहा था उस टाइम पे, बट जब वो बैलेंस शीट और वो वाला चैप्टर आया, दैट इज व्हेन आई रियली लॉस्ट इंटरेस्ट. एंड द होल थिंग वाज लाइक देयर आर अ यूनिवर्स ऑफ थाउजेंड्स ऑफ स्टॉक्स. हाउ डू आई like even start, like where do I start?
Correct.
And the other challenge for me was like even if I come across a great stock, I might put money and the market might recognize the potential of that stock like years down the line, right? What do I do in the meantime? So for all those reasons, like when I first came across charts, to be honest, like मैं जब charts भी initially देखा, for the longest time मुझे ये astrology लगता था कि like this doesn't seem like a real thing. लोग कुछ patterns देखते हैं chart पे और उस पे trade करते हैं. So it felt like astrology to me, but then I came across people who started talking about charts in terms of narratives, demand supply narratives. I read Minervini's book where he like explains a certain stock in exact terms where it started to make sense to me. Then, I mean, that was a turning point for me. Ki, like charts are actually telling you stories about the people behind those trades, right? Demand, supply, all of that. The other thing is it's completely manual. I manually go through charts. I like place the trades from my thing. I use very few things on the chart. So price, volume, and moving averages.
Okay.
That's all. So I'm mostly a swing trader. When I enter a position, I'm okay holding it for a few weeks or up to a month or whatever. The goal is ki if you have made the perfect entry, if you have the perfect setup, it should be as stress-free as possible. You enter and you have to do nothing. So a day when I have to do a lot of trades, I know is a bad day. Like for me, lesser the trade, the better. And the thing that helps me do this is like before taking any trade, I do this thing where I have a bunch of close friends who initially wanted to learn trading from me. Some of them came from a fundamental background. So when I started doing technicals, they were like, "Hame bhi sikha do." So I made this rule for myself that whenever I'm taking a trade, I'll take a screenshot of the chart at that point and explain to my friends why I am doing this. So the way this helped me was like before that, I'm just mentally doing this thing and doing it. But when I started to teach my friends, a sense of responsibility came. Also, I'm putting it out there to some people ki this chart will work out in a certain way. So every time I'm writing it, sometimes I'm noticing ki like I myself don't believe what I'm saying. So it's not like a good trade.
Correct.
So it became like an additional checklist for me. It improved my bar for like taking a trade. And after a few months, when my friends started becoming better at technical, they also started questioning me, right? So it became like a whole thing that like I am having a devil's advocate by myself, but also like people are, I know that what objection a person might have with this chart I'm showing to them.
Interesting.
So, yeah. Okay, so initially I started with cash stocks, and once I got very confident of my setups, then it was just ki I came to know about futures. And for me, like the way I look at futures is कि अगर तुम एक 2% move stock से ले रहे हो, stock futures में you get 5x leverage, तो that same move पे you could have made 5 times more money, right? And commodity में it's almost like gold gives you 10x leverage, silver gives you 5 to 6x leverage. So as I was getting better at picking setups, it just made sense that I pick up these kinds of leverage instruments. But to anyone watching this video, I would say that like don't directly go into any kind of leverage instrument, right? Because your whole thought process messes up, right? Like a 1% move on a chart will look the same, but on your PNL, it will make a whole bunch of difference, right? So you might get out of good setups prematurely just because you're so leveraged, and you might not be comfortable holding on to a profit for long because you're seeing such big numbers, right? So even for me, like whenever I look at my trades and people, I remember like once I was having a great day और मम्मी साइड में ही बैठी है and I'm telling her कि I'm up like 50 lakhs, okay? And mummy is like बेच दे just निकल जा. But the thing I always ask myself is like, if I had told this thing to my mom at 10 lakhs, she would have had the same thing. 20, 30, 40, 50 सब पे same ही होता. मतलब you should know, make your decisions not by the number on the screen, but purely on the basis of charts, right? The chart should tell you what to do.
Absolutely. Superb.
Yeah. So commodities, like I have explained, since I only care about like what is on the chart, for me it's another chart. And the good thing I noticed in commodities as opposed to stocks is जब move start होता है तो काफी महीनों तक चलता है. And like right now, even as we are recording, like I have like huge trades going on, but I'm kind of comfortable with the whole thing because like I know like day to day I'm not doing much. I just have some general alert set, which is कि अगर इस point पे आया then you know for sure कि the chart no longer looks good.
Nice.
Otherwise I'm not optimizing for short like day to day कि थोड़ा profit book किया या.
So your chart is for what duration? Like minimum duration?
Like okay, so the way I see it is, अगर कोई सेटअप वीकली चार्ट पे सही लग रहा, that is better than कोई डेली चार्ट पे दिखना is better than hourly 15 minute that way, right? Because अगर वीकली सेटअप पे अगर कोई कप एंड हैंडल कुछ बना, that means काफ़ी ऐसे मार्केट को एक तो टाइम मिला टू वीड आउट वीक हैंड्स, और बड़े प्लेयर्स ने सब बहुत आराम से अपना पोजिशन बनाया. But the same thing, अगर तुम्हें 15 मिनट पे कोई कप एंड हैंडल दिख रहा है, that doesn't mean much, right? So that is how I look at it. Like I want to zoom out as much as possible. Once I like a chart on a long time frame, then I would zoom in and then maybe like optimize my entry a bit. because the best feeling is when you enter a trade and it immediately starts to move in your favor. Absolutely. Right? So also you might be looking at a chart without a trade for as much time as possible, but it is only after you get in that you realize like how it actually is moving. It's like feeling the pulse of a particular thing, right? So that has been another experience. Like since the last like almost year now, since I've been only trading mostly gold, and I also experimented a bit with silver, copper, aluminium, all of that. But gold chart mein, it almost feels like I know the pulse of that chart, how it moves. Like sometimes it helps me optimize ki jab koi sudden fall bhi aata, I know this is like a fake fall, and I use those opportunities to add up even more, right? So,
okay. Oh, so you don't mind averaging at a loss?
Not when it's already in a lossy position,
okay,
but
okay.
if I'm already in a profit,
okay,
then
and there is a retracement of a price, you won't mind adding more.
Yeah,
but it has to be a profitable position to add more.
Yep.
So you enter now and you start incurring loss. Do you average?
Then, I mean, I have done it in the past, but I don't think that's a good strategy.
That's a good strategy.
Yeah.
Average only if you are in a profit.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. And as I like in 3 years now, when I look at my journey, I have done options, I have done cash stocks, I have done commodities now. I'm always looking for like what should be the next step in my journey, right? So the thing, looking at a gold chart or a crude oil chart, it helps me get an overall sense of like koi news jab aata hai, how do you correlate that to the charts, right? Or else sometimes people are saying something, but the charts are saying something else, right? There have been instances in the past like where just looking at charts, I have been able to predict some tariff that Trump later said. Like copper mein, I saw a really strong setup on a chart. It was like a multi like month kind of setup, and just like when I had told my friends ki okay, this chart looks great, the same day Trump announced this on copper imports, and it went up 20%.
Yeah.
For a commodity on a global scale to go up 20%. So that has always helped me. Like a whole bunch of times when I'm doing my weekend scans, right? मुझे ऐसे दिखता है कि कोई इंडस्ट्री ग्रुप में there is like a good set of setups lining up, like fertilizer stocks सब सही लग रहे हैं, या metal सारे सही लग रहे हैं, and you realize what is the actual effect a few weeks later कि there were some fertilizer subsidies that were going to be announced. So for me, that way, like I feel like reading charts helps me predict the future in a certain way, and it helps me stay connected to the whole world. Right?
Ultimately, there is an insider, right?
Yeah.
In every stock, there is an insider, and now Donald Trump is the biggest insider. He takes position in futures market, and then he announced the Trump tariff.
So, I mean, it aligns with my view that तुम data से decision ले रहे हो, like not news articles or stories or any of this.
Stories will come later. Data speaks 1,000 words. Yeah, that's true.
So, so this is the stock B market indicator that I've kind of developed.
This we have in StockEdge.
Oh,
market
nice, nice. So, okay, one of the reasons I maintain my whole thing is when I was feeling low, right, about my whole thing, I felt कि मैं थोड़ा coding तो मुझे अब भी आता है, तो let me do something of my own, and that will. So if you see this minus 2.12%, that was the day I made my first shot, and then the next Friday minus 0.93 and then minus 0.87. So on those 3 days. So you can see, right, all these metrics, how much they had fallen compared to the others, like 10-day moving average 20. You can see the sudden color change, all of that. So all these gave me that additional confidence that this is the right day to take a big shot. Okay, so coming to actual charts themselves.
Yep.
Right. So this is not something I did from the start, but around like 1.5 years back or something, I was exposed to this idea of log charts. So तो जब भी आप कोई चार्ट देखते हो, by default linear scale पे होता है, जहाँ पे price moves in equal increments, right? 100, 200, 300 वैसे. like I said earlier, I prefer looking at long-term charts, right? So assume you're looking at some stock which had like a crazy journey. वो 10 रुपए से आज like thousands में पहुंच गया. So like let's look at this example, right? अगर कोई स्टॉक 10 से 20 रुपए जा रहा है, that's like 100% gain, right? और 100 to 200 जा रहा है, that is also 100% gain. But if you were looking at this on a linear chart, this second 100% gain would look much bigger than the first.
Okay.
Right? And say like 10 to 20 wala move, which is 100% gain, would look the same as 100 to 110.
Yep.
Which is just like a 10% move,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So that really skews how you look at charts. So log scale में क्या होता है? It's the log of the price on the axis. तो log का एक प्रॉपर, तो अगर तुम्हें 2 पॉइंट के बीच वर्टिकल डिस्टेंस देखना है तो आप log P2 minus log P1 कर रहे हो. And log has this property that like log A minus log B is log B by A.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So in this case, for the same price, log 20 minus log 10 is log 20 by 10, which is log 2. And log 200 minus log 100 is also
It's
the
also
same.
log 2. Okay.
Yeah. So visually, these are the same stocks. Okay. This is a linear scale and this is a logarithmic scale, right? So you can, and this is HBL Power, one of those stocks which has had a crazy move. So there are so many things that you see on the linear scale. If you look at this, it might seem like अगर मैंने यहाँ enter करने miss किया, then I missed the whole move. But if you saw the same thing on the log scale, you would see that there are a lot of setups throughout in this interval. Even right now, like say if you were considering this recent move, there is something like a base forming here. But अगर आप यहाँ देख रहे हो, it seems like बहुत suddenly कुछ हुआ.
सही है. There's new learning for me also. I will start using it for my setup. Interesting.
So that is the first point.
Nice.
And there are a lot of setups that you can learn, but I mean, I feel like if you can perfect yourself on one setup, first of all, that eliminates all the FOMO. कि हर दिन बहुत सारे setups दिख रहे हैं, like what do I trade? And I have realized through my own experience that like it is okay for your PNL to go nowhere for a while if you're not finding the right kind of setups.
Nice.
When the right setup comes, making money should be as easy as picking it up off the ground, right? So these kinds of, so volatility contraction pattern is something Minervini named for the first time, but I'm sure people have observed this even in the past. The main characteristics of a volatility contraction pattern is एक strong uptrend होता है, then the stock takes a pause and it corrects to a certain point, which is not much of a correction compared to the previous run it has had, right? Then it keeps making attempts back at the resistance a whole bunch of times, and every time there's a failed breakout here, it corrects, but it doesn't correct as much as before, right? So there's a series of higher lows that you can see, right? And finally, at one point, it breaks out, right? So this is actually the gold chart that I have recently been trading, and I entered around here exactly, right? And we'll come on entry later, but let's look. I was talking about narratives, right? Like this is not just a chart that you need to commit to memory, like क्योंकि हमेशा कुछ ना कुछ छोटे variations तो होंगे, like there are always some subtleties that will change from time to time. So how do you tell yourself this is still a great setup, right? So a story helps at that point. So the way I look at this is like, okay, gold had a great run for a long time. किसी एक पॉइंट पे आया जहाँ पे काफी लोगों को लगा कि गोल्ड अब ओवर वैल्यूड है, राइट? एंड दे स्टार्टेड टू सेल. इनिशियल जो भी करेक्शन हुआ उस पे सम पीपल स्टिल फील कि गोल्ड हैज पोटेंशियल, दे केम हियर, बट देयर वुड बी अ बंच ऑफ पीपल हु आर हियर फ्रॉम अर्लियर, दे फील लाइक दे मिस द फर्स्ट चांस टू एग्जिट, बट नाउ दे माइट again exit. So that is why second time again there was a sell off. इस बार again there has been a recovery. Gold again came here. A bunch of people again feel like, okay, this is a resistance level, let me sell again. Then what you're looking for is how deep the correction is, right? This time people are just not letting it fall as much. And it just keeps getting tighter over time.
Correct.
Right? This whole thing is getting tighter. So if you were actually a person selling gold in the market, right? Or अगर आपका डेली टारगेट था कि यू नीड टू एग्जॉस्ट योर इन्वेंट्री, तो ऐसे सोचो कि आप 100 पे स्टार्ट कर रहे हो और इन्वेंट्री खत्म करने आप एंड ऑफ डे 80 तक रिड्यूस करने रेडी हो, बट आप देख रहे हो अगले हफ्ते में 90 तक ही पूरा स्टॉक खत्म हो रहा है, अगले दिन 95, तो यू नो कि द डिमांड फॉर व्हाट यू आर सेलिंग is increasing more and more, and there are a lot more buyers competing for a limited amount of inventory, right? So at some point the pressure will build up so much that like it will just break this resistance and go through, right? So that's the
And
story.
what is the role of moving averages?
So okay, once the I have some basic criteria to eliminate my initial set of stocks. I would never buy a stock below its 200 moving average.
Okay.
Ideally, I want the 50-day moving average to be above the 200.
Okay.
And that is just to establish uptrend. मुझे ऐसे charts ही नहीं देखने हैं जो downtrend पे, तो just to initially filter out those, I'm doing it. This part of the equation, I'm not really relying on the moving average, but I'm just seeing ki finally when it's ready to break out, everything gets very close to each other. All the this is the 5, 10 and 20 and the 50 over here. All 5 are very tightly contracted right now. So that gives me a good signal ki, and once the move begins, if I want to further scale up, right? So I enter the bulk of my position when it's still in the base. And then once it starts, like I'm not doing anything for a while, then you'll see ki the chart again takes support of one of the moving averages. So those are times when I see ki there's a bounce of the EMA, then I would add more. But these would be very small increments. Like assume 70% of my position I have entered before the move itself has started. Then the remaining, whenever like there's a bounce of an EMA, I would add more.
Interesting.
And one place where I differ from Minervini a bit is if you see the next chart. So Minervini suggests that for him, like these are different cups, right? Like 3 cup, 4 cup. That is how he calls these 4 T's, something like that. And he suggests that like enter a stock when it is finally breaking out on volume.
Right.
So one challenge I've always had with those kinds of setups is like जब already इतना ऊपर गया, then I don't know where to put the stop loss. You enter a huge position over here और same day पे कभी कभी नीचे आता है, and it's always tricky, right? What if there's one more smaller cup after this? So once a few cups have formed and I start seeing the tightness, whenever like the cup ka bottom reaches and it's starting to turn, that is where I start to add the bulk of my position. So there are multiple advantages to this. The one thing is when it again approaches the resistance, you can start to book maybe half your profits here. And say you booked half your profit and then you see ki okay, it's getting tighter, so now you're even more confident, and again when it's turning, add up more over here, right? And here when it's breaking out, maybe you book some profit, but then you wait it for a few days and you realize it's an actual breakout. Then whenever it's falling to the EMAs, you can like keep adding to your position. And one of the most biggest advantages is here I had a problem deciding where to put the stop loss, right? But so that is the thing I was telling, right? Ki whenever I look at a chart, it should make sense to me ki whether it's good or bad in 5 seconds. So being a long trader for so long and holding through losing positions has given me now a sense ki like, okay, I know what a failing setup looks like, right? So imagine I did enter at the bottom of the cup here. और instead of going up, अगर इस direction में जाने शुरू किया, then like if you eliminate this entire portion of the chart, now you can clearly see it's no longer a VCP, right? Like it has a deeper cup than the before. So I can very quickly keep a stop loss over here.
Okay.
And that way, like my upside is much more than my downside. Right?
And how do you do position sizing in this?
So I mean the same thing. Like assume I had entered like say 70% of my position here.
Okay.
This is not like the ideal strategy as such, but I personally am not good at getting out of the position in like small things.
Okay.
I like to completely get out of a position most of the time.
Okay.
Even in case of profits, that's how it's been. Like I say book part profits here, but I've hardly ever been able to do that myself.
Okay.
I would let the whole profit run for a while. Then maybe in 2 shots, I would completely get out. Ki 50% I book profit at some point, then remaining position again 50% I get out.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So this is broadly the extent of the kind of setups I mostly look at. We can go at some other charts that I find promising at the moment.
Sure.
So this is another chart. It's an aluminum chart. Just a little clarification here. I generally look at CFD charts when I'm trading commodities. The logic is simple. Commodities are not contained by borders. So if there's a gold trading 24/7 across the world, I don't want to look at a chart pattern formed only during Indian market hours, right? And for me, the final decision to enter or not would be on the basis of MCX, whatever the price is going on. But I want to look at a chart pattern on the most traded, most liquid kind of chart. So that's why I look at CFD charts, right? So this is aluminum right now. And there's part of it ki it had a big up move, all of that. But what I'm mainly interested in is it forming a horizontal base, right? A base is a time which is like next big move se pehle, it is laying the groundwork for it, right? So if we roughly look at how this chart looks, there are a bunch of cups here, right? And each time it's getting tighter. I am not saying that this is the time when it will finally break out over here, but trading is probabilistic, right?
Okay.
So what you always want to do is like have a strategy which makes you money in a probabilistic environment. So what I did is I would have entered the stock somewhere around here. When I saw there was one first big green candle, which is reaching the resistance level. There were 2 smaller red candles, but it has hardly reached halfway point of the previous big one, right? So on the third, this is actually a weekly chart, right? So I have a lot of confidence when something is building up on a weekly chart. So on this previous week, when it is coming up with strength, that is probably when I know ki okay, there is another attempt at a resistance level that is going to happen, and this here is the resistance level, right? And this time I am holding like a full position, and I'll continue to hold it till I see that there is some kind of weakness. And a weakness for me would be the price going below the 5 EMA or the 10 EMA. Right? So this is like a great setup as such for now.
Perfect. I mean, I don't have questions for you. You are such a, you have a clarity in what you are doing that any question which I think I'll have, you are already answering it on your own.
That's great. Like, I feel like each of these questions are something that I have asked myself at some point, right? Like, my whole thing is, I always believe that anybody can learn anything. It is just about asking yourself questions and simplifying it to a point ki then it's very obvious ki kya hai.
True that.
So if we I mean,
let's talk about your bumper trade, gold trade. Let's see the chart. Where did you identify the trade?
Okay. So if we go to this gold chart, right? So what had initially happened was I was already interested in this chart. By the time it had started to form this much, okay, and I initially made an entry here, and then I didn't exit anything here, and then it started to go below my thing, right? So this time I didn't add anything. Like I said, it's not ideal if you're adding to a losing position. I just kept holding this through, and the challenge with trading in like futures is there's these expiries, right? Where you're sometimes forced to exit at a loss, and that's always a bad feeling. Like you want to continue holding the position, but you're like exiting at a loss and rolling over to the next contract. So I again entered around here, and this time when it reached the resistance level, I did book some profit. Then it again came down, and this time I was okay with it since I have some profit in the trade. So the third time it has. So every time this whole up and down thing is happening, it is actually adding to my confidence. Ki this is exactly how I want the trade to go, and that is how it is going. So I continue to add here. When it reached here, this time I didn't book any profit, but I told myself if it forms a smaller cup, I'm going to go really all in over here. Right? So I trade through multiple accounts, but roughly I think 70 to 80% of my account size I had bet on this trade at this point. Right? This is to me, like, this was one of the best VCPs I had seen in a long time. Right? Like in my experience of seeing VCPs all this time.
But this was daily chart you were looking at.
This
you
was
didn't look at the weekly chart here.
I mean, weekly chart mein it hadn't formed as many cups, but the daily chart pe it looked really strong. Like there are a lot of VCPs where you are making excuses कि ठीक है ये वाला कप थोड़ा नीचे गया पहले से, but still it looks strong. But in this case, I had to make no excuses for this chart. It was properly, like, you can see once the move started, like it is going so perfectly along the EMA, right? Correct. So that is one very good sign leading up to a breakout. Like day after day, you're just seeing that it's like perfectly going along the EMA, and then it did have a breakout here. So once the breakout started to happen, I mean, maybe it is a function of the fact that I have been in a lot of large trades by now that I am okay sometimes, like, so when you're dealing with a few thousands or few lakhs ka account, your daily PNL is fluctuating in that range, right? Few thousands or few lakhs. These days when my account size grows, like, I've just told myself that you need to be okay with like an 8-figure move within a day in your account. That is just the cost you pay for I mean, getting bigger winners and all of that. Because there have been times when I can actually show you one more interesting chart that I missed out on just because I was trying to optimize for like smaller things, right? Like this is a silver monthly chart, right? A multi-decadal chart. And here you can see like all the way from 1970s, there's a cup and handle for me, right? This was just on the monthly. Now, if you look in the weekly, right, forget the whole like previous whatever had happened. Even in this small zone, you can see that there's a large cup that has formed here, right?
True.
So this is like your ideal kind of things when as you zoom in also you're seeing more and more setups, right? So on silver, once I had my first big trade in gold from November to February, which almost doubled my account. And with that money, I didn't want to push my luck further in gold. I was looking for setups which are still in their base. So that's a good thing. Like, even if you have like a great profit in a certain thing, try not to squeeze the every last bit of that move, right? Like sometimes people show me like charts and they are like, doesn't this look good? And the thing I want to tell them is like, if someone put a gun on your head and told कि like you need to be very right on this chart कि ऊपर जाएगा कि नीचे, would you still choose this chart, right? Like in that moment it becomes very clear कि yeah, I mean of course there are better charts out there. So that is what the part of playing the devil's advocate ki like I asked this question to myself, like am I just being lazy to scan through more charts, am I just trying to squeeze the last bit out of a move, or is there a better chart out there? So in silver I did find a better chart. The only thing that was bothering me was like gold gives you 10x leverage, this is 5 to 6x, so I would have to ride a much bigger wave to make the same money. But again, multi-decadal chart looking great on the weekly too. Then finally, once I was convinced on the weekly too, I came all the way down to the daily, where again it is forming a kind of like it's not a perfect VCP, but like there is some kind of base that is getting formed here, right? And you can see a series of higher lows over time, right? So what happened was multiple times, like after I got out of gold in Feb, I'm entering silver now. I have gotten in and I was in a profit, a huge profit, and then it all went against me, right? So I think I had continued to like I booked some losses, but again I was ready to like enter. I think I had entered when it was recovering. So the thing that I was optimizing for is ki since this is a multi-decadal chart or a multi-weekly chart, there might be a lot of smaller cups that might form. So I just decided, why don't I enter at the bottom and like exit at the top? So for the first time I did it, I booked half my profit here, but I am not completely always comfortable ki half ye uska chakkar. Like I either want to be fully in or fully out. And as the chart started going up, I exited all my position here. And since then it has been going on like an insane run. So throughout, like for the last few months, like every time I looked at the silver chart, it just felt like regret. I think I had again entered once and then exited here, but this whole move I've missed. So this was, I mean, at least like academically, it made me feel good कि I was right about the chart. So that way it was great, but missed out on that chart. So when I was looking at this gold chart now, so when it formed on the daily, I decided that I'm not going to make small optimizations. Like if I lose some bit of money and there's another cup, it's okay. Like now my account is at a certain size where there's no pressure to make money, right? It's just like a performance pressure, if any, that I put on myself. And yeah, like I've just let it run now. Like
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Very interesting.
So
you regret is the most obvious thing in market, and you learn from regrets also. That's good learning. Let's continue.
So okay. These are just some things that I broadly have about my thing. First is mental models, right? A lot of people entering the market, like I have seen this thing among women who feel like, okay, trading is a male-dominated thing. That's why some people don't enter. They just say, okay, finance, money, all of that, I don't understand. There are people who believe that they are not very good at maths. That's why they can't enter. So I always feel like what you need to understand the world at large is mental models, right? So simple example, like say you go to a foreign country and people say, ki, here tap water you can drink, right? Someone else says that, but if you turn it to the hot side, you shouldn't drink that water. So you might not understand how the plumbing works there, but you can form some mental model कि अच्छा municipality से आ रहा होगा ठंडा पानी, but गर्म तो शायद आपके society में हो रहा होगा, तो maybe that's why people say not to drink. So even when you look at charts and all, like don't think of it as math or like all of those things. Like think about people, think about the emotions they go when something goes up, something goes down, and believe that society at large is working that way, right? So mental models are something that I always try to use to approach any new subject from ground up, right? Other is narrative arcs, like I was telling about the hero's arc. If you're going through a rough patch, like picture yourself as the hero of your own story and ask what is the best you could do, right? So that is a great way to do this. Another thing is, like, if you want to reach the best be the best in the world, that is not something you need to always aspire for. It was just something I wanted to aim for, because even on my journey, like there was a phase when I was reading a lot of trading interview, Market Wizards, the whole series. I went through a whole bunch of interviews on your channel. I saw USIC winners ka interview on Trader Lion, and all of these, like, there are some common things that you pick up, right? People go through like multiple losses initially, then a lot of people, even Rahi's interview a few weeks back, he was focusing on a fit body and all of that. That is true. Like, if you want to perform at the peak level, you need to be at a certain level of fitness and be nimble and all of that, right? The other thing is, like, whenever people come to my home, they ask me ki trading desk kahan pe hai. They assume trader hai to bahut screens sab honge, but from the very start, like this laptop is a 14-inch MacBook that I just got a few days back, but since I started, it was a 13-inch screen, right? And one thing I told myself always is, like, if you can get all the information you want to trade from this limited real estate on the screen, that means your process is that optimized. You don't need to look at 100 different things to make a call. You just need like a few things. So that will give me more conviction, confidence, and all of that. So if you give anyone like a project with no deadline, that will always have like a worse outcome than if you put a deadline and tell people ki do something in this small time frame. Or you start a project with no budget constraints, that is all much worse than putting a budget constraint on some team, right? So constraints always, I feel, breed creativity. They force you to optimize more and all of that. There's this thing about Stephen King, who has written like, I think, thousands of novels in his lifetime. So when he first made some money as a writer, till then he had been just like writing all his novels in like very small, tiny, cramped spaces and all of that. So when he first made money, he decided he'll get a huge desk to write on, right? Like walnut, oak kind of thing. And that really started to affect the quality of his work, right? He started to consider the space where he's writing as like a sacred space where no one else can come and disturb him. So finally, he comes to the realization that life isn't a support system for art. Like, since he's a writer, it's not that the whole world like adjusts to his needs as a writer. Like, it's the other way around. Like, so here you can see him on the corner, his kids like next to the TV, everything happening around him. So even whenever people want to make plans with me or like invite me somewhere, like I have always from the very start, like I just need my laptop along and I'll just sit with my laptop open and some alerts, but I'm ready to like be part of the conversation or like wherever it's happening. So that is what I tell people. Ki matlab, trading gets a very good reputation as such these days. It's seen as a cool profession to have, but like keep it simple. So like, yeah.
Superb. Lovely. I love the last piece. Keep it simple, because that's what life should be. And you're living a very simple life, simple food, simple dog. Everything is pretty simple in your life. And I can see that impact you have in your personality also. That's good. Nice talking to you. It was fun, and I don't think so. There has been many face-to-faces where I didn't get opportunity to speak. But I love it. Love the way you expressed yourself fully. I think probably is this your first podcast?
I have come on one podcast before.
Okay, but this is amazing. I mean, I can clearly see that you have it in you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming all the way to Calcutta, and best of luck for your journey. I'm sure you'll do wonderful.
It's been a pleasure, Vivek. Thank you for the good work you do for the entire community. Like, like a few months back itself, when I was posting on Twitter all my PNLs, I was wondering what more do I have to do to get invited on this show.
So sweet.
So glad to be finally here.
This is exactly you need to do. Just be honest on Twitter, and we'll figure out. We'll connect with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So thank you everyone who is here till the end. That's very important. When you are here till the end, you give respect to yourself and also to the person who comes here and share. Because sharing is caring, and there's no commercial interest. That's very important. So if you can share this video with more friends of yours, it will add value to everyone's life, because this video is worth this sharing. Okay. Thank you. Take care of yourself. Jai Hind.
Investment in securities market are subject to market risks. Read all the related documents carefully before investing.